On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about To Mega Therion by Celtic Frost. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. And this week we're back into metal.
Yes.
After a non-metal month to talk about the second album from Celtic Frost, who's a Swiss extreme metal band of various wide-ranging genres and influences over the years.
They were very pioneering.
Started out as a more kind of a slightly more straightforward sort of experimental thrash metal band, one might say, and they got weirder from there.
Yes, they started out being called Hellhammer, then they got
which was a more classic sort of early black metal band.
First wave.
Yeah, that first wave in the 70s and early 80s. But they've gone to many other weirder places. We've talked about them before, and I have. Every time we've talked about a Tom G. Warrior project, I have been dissatisfied. Up until now. To spoil our discussion later in the episode, I don't mind this. This is fine. I'm not thrilled about it, but it's fine. I didn't hate it. It didn't make me want to turn it off.
You know, if I had a restaurant and you gave that your review in a newspaper,
this is fine.
This is fine. I didn't hate it, I guess.
You would take that as a glowing review?
Sure, yeah. I'd be like,
see, food is different for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how picky I am, but like if you serve me a thing that I know I like and I eat it, I will. If I actually like it, I will be, enthusiastic about it.
You're a very meat and potatoes and turkey wrap kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of exotic foods, but the foods that I like, I enjoy when they're made well.
Right.
That being said, I don't think I have particularly high standards for much of it. It's not that I would say for me the bar of enjoying food is pretty low. If it's something is really, my fear is always if something is really, really good, I will not be capable of appreciating it. So I won't.
See what you're saying.
I won't go for it
because it will be too outside of your sphere.
No, like even if it's a really good version of something that I like. Even if it's the best burger in the world, everyone says this is the best burger in the world.
You love you a burger.
I'm afraid I will take a bite of it and go like, yeah, all right, it's good.
Yeah,
I like it. But I'm not gonna get all of the things that people say makes it the best burger. I feel the same way about expensive whiskey, like really expensive bourbon and stuff like that. Anything that's more than $50 a bottle, I'm not gonna get enough out of that to.
Right. It won't mean that much.
Yeah, I don't think I have I don't have the palate for it. I don't.
What's the Pappy? What is it?
Pappy Van Winkle.
Pappy Van Winkle. Yeah.
It goes for upwards of $1,000 a bottle.
Sure.
It's supposed to be the best bourbon in the world.
But I feel like that's just that's a what is it called, a Mexican standoff is what they call that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it doesn't fucking It's not $1,000, but nobody wants to say because you look cool now.
Well, and like to be fair to the company, like the company has tried, certain methods. I don't know exactly what they've tried, but they have apparently taken steps to try and bring the price down. But it's just speculation because it's a small batch.
Right.
They don't make that much of it, so it's easy for people to jack the price up by saying, this is the best whiskey in the world, and there's not that many of it, so resellers will make it way more expensive.
Sure, because it's rare.
Even though the distillers would prefer that it be more affordable and more accessible to people. But kind of the realities of that market step in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I did watch. There's an episode of. There's a couple episodes where he tries it. There's a YouTube channel called How to Drink.
Right.
And there's a couple episodes where he has tried Pappy Van Winkle, and he did a blind taste test.
Mm-hmm. And he couldn't pick Pappy.
It out. He couldn't pick it out, and there was some other whiskey that he liked better than it.
Mm-hmm. That was not $1,000.
And it was not. I don't remember how expensive it was. I don't think anything on there was like cheap bourbon.
Right.
But it was like nothing else there was anywhere near as expensive as Pappy. And when he got done with that, he was like, either Pappy is not as good as everyone says it is, or I'm about to be murdered because I have poor taste.
Yeah. He picked something like Rich and Rare or something, which is neither of those.
Yeah. The cheapest bottle of Jim Beam you can find.
Right.
Which I still haven't. It's been a bit since I've given regular Jim Beam a try. There was
at one point you said you didn't like it.
That would probably be at a time where I think I probably would have said I didn't like bourbon. Period.
Yeah.
But
you've grown as a person.
That was when I was in college. There was, I think I had asked for like a Canadian whiskey, which Canadian whiskeys are pretty easy to drink because there's not a ton going on.
Right.
They're not smoky, they're not peaty or anything like that. Like Canadian Irish whiskeys are pretty. They're easy drinking generally.
Black Velvet or Windsor.
Yeah, I asked for something like that, and because I was underage at the time.
Sure.
And they brought back a bottle of Jim Beam, and I didn't care for it. It took me a while to get through the bottle because I thought it was kind of gross. But then a number of years ago, I think for some, I don't remember for what. I don't remember if it was for my birthday or what. You brought me a bottle of. Like it was a fairly small bottle, but it was a bottle of like their premium stuff, and I liked that just fine. So I don't know if I would at this point like normal Jim Beam or not. I mean, if I'm buying like middle shelf bourbon, I usually get Maker's Mark.
Gotcha. Now, how do you feel about Tennessee whiskey? I mean,
I don't really like Tennessee whiskey. I mean, the only Tennessee whiskey I've ever drank is Jack Daniel's.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. No. I feel like it's too sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Is the way I feel about it, and I'm not generally too keen on very like sweet tasting liquor.
Right. On the occasion where I'm in a bar and I have a drink, usually I'll have like a Jack and Diet, and then inevitably somebody asks me what I'm drinking, and they're like, "What are you, 12?"
Yeah, I don't really care for Tennessee whiskey very much. But is there any other Tennessee whiskey than Jack Daniel's? Because I feel like that's a term they created for themselves,
right? Because
people kept on going, "This isn't bourbon,"
right? Because it's a similar flavor profile.
Yeah, and it's
to bourbon.
It's on the shelf next to all the bourbons,
right? Made in a dry county.
Yeah, but it is. Like I find it too sweet. I prefer the more like the straight up smokiness.
So you like a good Scotch.
I like Scotch too. Scotch and bourbon are my go-tos for whiskeys, just because, like I said before, Canadian and Irish whiskey they're not bad by any means.
Right.
As long as you get a decent bottle, and you're not getting Black Velvet or something like that. Black Velvet is fine, but it's a cheap Canadian whiskey.
Right. And you can see it in that little boy's smile.
Yeah. But they don't have a lot going on. It's kind of like me with beer, where if I'm drinking beer, I want it to be kind of weird. Yeah. And have a little something, a little bit of a kick.
I like. Was this made at a monastery? Okay.
We're on the right path. Get you a Trappist beer. Did some Belgian monks make this?
Yeah. Does it have a foil cap?
Because that's supposed to be the best beer in the world.
Well, yeah.
Is like there's some specific Belgian Trappist brewery,
and those are not easy to make.
Yeah. I mean that's why they're made by monks. They've got nothing else to do.
Nothing else going on.
That is always interesting to me to remember that the vast majority of alcohol in especially Northern Europe in the Middle Ages was made by monks.
Right.
Like other than maybe ale that you would get at a tavern.
Sure.
Like almost anything else was typically made by monks. Like because ale, like what they would call beer or ale, their process for making it in their standards were significantly lower
right.
than, so you could just make that in some sort of a container out back,
right,
pretty easily.
A lager is harder to make.
Yeah, that's the defining characteristic of ale versus most of the beer we drink today is the fact that they generally didn't put hops in it. So it was they didn't do a lot else to it other than like it. This is just
the ale
some
from then.
Yeah, this is just some fermented grain.
Yeah,
that we've put in some water.
Right.
And it has created alcohol, and that has killed the bacteria in the water, and now we can drink this. And as a fun side effect, we get drunk.
Right, because that wasn't the primary thing to get drunk when you're drinking ale. The primary thing was, is this going to poison me?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Oh, good. Okay, great. We purified it by alcoholing it.
Like if you, and I think that's a little like a little overestimated. Because definitely like it depends on the period, but you'll have what they would call like small beer or table beer.
Sure. Which
is significantly more watered down that we even give to children.
Right.
Where part of the point of that was just it's safer to drink.
Right.
What the
hell was it when my ex-wife was a child in Canada? They had kids wine. They had
kids wine.
Something like it was like something with a duck in it. It was a duck. It's like it's the kind of wine we give to kids because it's only 2% alcohol.
Canada. I was about to say that sounds very French, but that's part of the DNA up there in Canada.
It is. It's like her father used to say. Yeah. American beer is like having sex in a canoe.
It's fucking close to water.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting thinking about the history of alcohol is really kind of the history of the human race.
Yeah.
In a way, or at least the history of civilization.
Yes.
Obviously, humans as Homo sapiens, we've been around for like 300,000 years, something like that.
Something like that.
Anatomically modern humans.
Yeah, two to three, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat.
I have a whole book on that. I have a large, very thick book on the history of booze.
Yeah.
It's on my shelf.
It's interesting because it connects with everything. Mm-hmm. It's for a lot of human history. It's been like we'll go and live in this place as long as we can grow grain that we can use to make bread and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And if we can't grow any of that stuff, maybe we don't want to live there. I guess there's some exceptions to that, like alcohol culture didn't really exist in the Americas pre-colonial times. Mm-hmm. They had other stuff to have fun.
Well, yeah.
Humans, it's a fact. Humans like mind-altering substances.
Yeah, because sometimes having a mind sucks.
Yeah. Having a mind that's aware of itself can be unfortunate.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you want that most of the time, but I think sometimes I want to eat these little buttons of mushroom.
Yeah.
Go out into the desert for a bit.
See if I can experience something else for a little while.
I'll come back to consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
What have you been up to over the last week or so? I know what I've been up to. We'll get into that later.
What you've been up to is way more interesting. I've been up to, diddly squat, really. I mean, I had a guest last week.
Yeah.
And I've...
Nothing much else?
Nothing much else. I guess I started... I started binging a sitcom from 10 years ago.
Yeah, you started watching Mike and Molly.
Right, because...
For some reason, a CBS sitcom.
Right, because I'm on Netflix. I still pay for this shit. I guess I better watch it. And so it suggested that you should watch this show. I'm like, I've heard people talk about it. I can watch it.
Why not?
And then so I watched the first episode, and I'm like, that was kind of funny. I'll go to bed. And because I've had bronchitis for 6 months, I've decided...
the number keeps getting bigger. We established earlier today. You're like, I've been coughing for 3 months, and I was like, were you coughing before you had the flu?
No,
no. It was like you got the flu at the end of February.
So we determined
which is barely more than a month ago.
I've been coughing in 3 months.
Yes.
Yes. So And so, so I laid down and I couldn't sleep, even though I got the nebulizer and I got my Adavir and I got my emergency.
You're doing what you need to do to try and get it out of you, but it's just not.
It's not.
It's taking its time.
I think because as you get older, you don't get better at not being sick.
Yeah,
you get worse at being sick.
Although I heard some things recently. There was an episode of Ask Hank Anything with Hank Green, where they were talking about fevers and whatnot. And at least for some people, not everybody, but at least for some people, some large swath of the population, fevers at least when you're sick tend to get less noticeable as you get older.
All right.
But that might just be older people not complaining as much as children.
Right.
Like fevers are worse for children.
Right.
But
old people are used to it.
Yeah, old people are just miserable all the time. So maybe they're just like, why I don't fucking care.
I don't care. I'll just have a fever all through the night.
But yeah, I mean, for most things with health, they certainly don't get easier to deal with as you get older.
So I stayed up all night. I didn't go to bed before work at all. I just watched that damn sitcom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Well, that was the other day. That wasn't last night, right?
No, that wasn't last night. No, last night.
That was yesterday because when you came out to talk to me for a little bit after I was getting ready to do my thing that I'll talk about, and you were like trembling because number one, you hadn't slept at all, and number two, you hadn't ate anything all day long.
So
and
I was a mess.
We had to bully you into going to go eat.
Right. Yeah.
Go eat something, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
If you're not going to sleep, go eat something.
At least do something to take care of yourself.
Yes. But the thing I was going to go do was buy a house.
Right.
And I did that.
And
I've done that.
You went and you wrote them a check, and now the house is yours.
They wrote me
a
check.
Oh, that's right.
They wrote me a check. I did not end up having to pay any closing costs.
Nice.
Which was...
Did the seller cover that, or?
Partially.
Gotcha.
It was a whole thing because on Friday, because all this has happened very fast,
right?
And I had not yet gotten the closing estimates, the final estimate for what everything was going to shake out to, and I assumed I was going to have to pay something, but I don't have a checkbook because. Right. I'm 30.
Right.
I haven't had to write a check in years. I don't remember the last time I had to write a check. So when the bank that I grew up with, when they merged with a bunch of other local banks, and changed, account numbers changed and so on and so forth, I decided not to order a new checkbook because I never need it.
I actually have a box of discolored checks in a closet in my bedroom.
But yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna need this. Why bother?
Yeah.
And then throughout this whole process, I'm like, maybe I should have a checkbook. But I didn't have one as of Friday, and so I thought I was gonna have to set up a wire transfer. But the thing is, with this bank, and I assume other banks, but going to go set up a wire transfer means you have to go and set it up. Yeah. Even though you're sending the money electronically, you do still have to physically go to your bank and sign shit and set it up with them, which meant I would have had to drive down to Garrison on Saturday morning because it's a local bank that of course closes at noon for whatever reason, because that's just how banks be.
Banker's hours.
Yeah, but so I went, and you gonna reject that or?
Yeah, she's gone now.
Okay. There was a phone call just sitting there. He's got his phone sitting on his thigh.
Here, my thigh.
It's funny that they don't give you like a reject button on that screen.
Yeah, I just had it message and voicemail. I'm like, what? Neither of those is useful.
Yeah, the Samsung. There's at least for my phone. Maybe this phone is as old as sin. But
that'll be your next purchase.
Yeah. If you get a phone call, there's just there's two buttons for accept and reject. You don't have to answer it and then hang up, which I assume that's how that works.
I think if I hit one of the side buttons,
there would be a reject option that appears, or it would just do it?
It would just do it, yeah.
Okay. But anyway.
I have an iPhone.
But I ended up not having to do that because after I called the bank and figured out what I would have to do, I got the numbers back, and they told me that I was getting money. So yeah, it was that was a fun surprise. Part of it was I got my earnest money back.
Yeah.
And then there was something to do with taxes, and then something to do with like basically overflow from the money that the seller put up. Essentially, is how I understand it. It worked. I need to cash the check. I'm going to have to, I don't know if I can do it on my desktop here. I don't have my bank's current app on my phone to do it digitally, but it would be easy to download, but I would need to digitally cash the check. And if I don't want to drive down to a place where they have a branch.
Right.
I don't feel like it. I have other stuff to do. I have other stuff to do now, like all of the little things in the house that need working on.
I love it when you're at a grocery store and an older, more mature person is up there writing a check for their groceries.
Oh, boy.
And you see the staff and other customers rubbernecking like, what's that?
What are they doing?
What's happening?
They're writing a check for groceries? Yeah. I feel like for anything but big purchases, it's sort of what's the point?
Yeah.
Of doing that? It just feels mostly it's just a waste of time.
Right.
I think.
I don't know who really accepts checks much anymore at all.
Yeah, as far as in a retail context, because they're inconvenient for everybody involved.
Right. And you know what? I've heard rumors that within the next 5 or 10 years, maybe or so, even your cards will go away.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't have my debit card isn't tap capable. Like you can't tap to pay with it. At least
and you don't have it on your phone?
No. I don't try. I don't know. I don't trust that shit, man. I don't.
See, I almost never pull up my cards now.
Yeah.
I use
Well, also I don't have an iPhone.
Right.
I have a nearly decade-old Samsung. True. So
if you had a modern phone, you might trust it more.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. What I was saying is I don't know if I can even do that.
No, yeah. Well, okay, I get what you're saying.
I don't know if it's capable of doing that.
If it has a wallet.
That. Yeah. Like I don't know how I feel about that stuff. Because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like like I'm somehow turning into a little bit of a Luddite.
Okay.
In certain senses, mostly because of like how much like my distaste for AI and all of that stuff.
Right.
And I was watching something over the weekend where it was basically just conversation between two channels. There was Religion for Breakfast, and then there was I can't remember the other channel. I've watched a bunch of his stuff before, but he talks a lot about reading and whatnot, and like the literacy crisis, such as it is, and whatnot. He talks a lot about that, and he talked about the feeling of like with AI, where when you are anti-AI, feeling like you're some kind of a Luddite, like you are not, like you're railing against the times. But part of what got brought up is like the biblical Luddites weren't what the meme of them is as as like these ignorant cavemen or whatever. But really, from what I apparently like in the Bible, they were more akin to like political activists.
Right.
Not exactly that. I think I'm probably getting it wrong somewhere because this is paraphrasing a half-remembered thing that somebody else said.
Right.
But the point they arrived at is like I don't think you need to feel too bad about it because, first of all, also the actual Luddites weren't what people think they are. And also because these things are fucking everything up. So you don't need to feel bad about not liking them.
You know, there was a point where they were coming out with these AI-generated videos, and I thought it was clever and fun and interesting for like a minute. And now when I see something like online is definitely AI generated, I mean, I'm like, I'm not.
Well, it's like part of the thing that I fucking hate so much is you can't trust anything.
Right.
Like every single. Back when I was in high school, you'd have people, pulling up these videos that were at the very least handmade, convincing fakes or whatever. But now it's like, geez, how can you view anything from like any source that you don't know super well? Like people should. Any video I see, I'm scrutinizing it.
Right.
I'm looking I'm analyzing the fucking frame rate, trying to figure out if things look too smooth.
Oh, I know.
And I hate it. And it's like there's so many things that the technology could be good at. I think we talked about this last week maybe, but it's like there's things that the technology just could be good at that it would be good for and it would fit into this niche well.
Sure.
And that's not what's being pushed, and that's the thing that fucking bothers me so much. Is the why artists? Why is the thing we're trying to automate the thing that our vision of the future was always everyone will get to do this all the time and we won't have to work. We'll all get to make art and music all the time.
And that's the thing that
and write books and poetry.
Yeah.
No, now the machines get to do it.
Yeah, and you're thinking to yourself, God damn it, Pornhub, I had better expectations of what you were going to show me.
They've got they've got other concerns at the moment as far as just being entirely blocked in certain states.
Right, like this one.
Yeah, or well, as I understand it, don't ask me how I know.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. I think the website itself is not blocked. It's one of those cases where they have blocked themselves because the legislation is that you're supposed to upload your ID, and they as a company have gone, we don't think that's a good idea for you to be putting your ID on the internet to watch porn. So sorry, we're going to make ourselves unavailable in your state rather than be forced to comply with this.
Right.
Which for a website like Pornhub is a shockingly principled stance. That's a remarkably measured and principled stance. They've got plenty of other problems and misdeeds that they've done as a company on a policy level. But okay, I get that. I'm all right with that.
I wish I was as morally upright as Pornhub.
Yeah, it's that whole thing and all that shit. All that shit is just a whole deal. I don't remember how we went down the AI rabbit hole and tech rabbit hole, but as far as the house goes, that's how we were talking about, like the wire transfer and paying for stuff on your phone and whatnot. Back to house stuff. Now now is the figuring out how I'm going to move all of this stuff over there and what I'm going to do before I move all this stuff.
Are you going to sell any of your stuff, or are you?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. Most of the stuff I have is stuff that I use and or want to keep. There's not a lot of stuff I have that I don't ever use. But I mean, maybe there's some stuff that I don't interact with all the time, but that's what a collection is, right? You know, if you have a collection of things,
part of the point, on them, but
the point of a collection is having them,
right?
So,
are you planning to play with any of these Space Marines? I mean,
yeah,
maybe,
probably starting this summer. I will.
Nice.
I'm hoping to. But also I've been busy for the last month and will continue to be busy for the next month.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a lot of 40K time at the moment. I did manage to put together... I did finish assembling the Stern Guard squad that I got from our buddy Drew.
Nice.
But I haven't made any progress on painting them, and I won't until everything is moved and situated. But they are, at least, they're mostly assembled. I kept the arms off of a couple of them because the pose would have made painting difficult.
Sure.
But, that's I won't have time for a little while. This weekend, I'm going to... I went to the grocery store today because there's a couple of things that I forgot to buy when I went earlier this week. Because I was going to buy dishwasher detergent and I was going to buy toilet paper, and I forgot to get both of those things. So I had to go back and I bought a ton of cleaning supplies that I'm going to... and I did buy the things that I wanted to buy, but also I was like, I need to get like a mop and a bunch of other stuff to...
It's a lot of new stuff you're going to
need
for this house.
Clean the floor in the basement, particularly. And I've got carpet cleaners coming next Wednesday afternoon, so I'll have to pop out of work for a little bit to go let them in. I don't know how long they're going to be there.
It's just going to be me at work.
Yeah, for a little while. Yeah. I mean, I assume all I'm going to have to do is come down there and let them in.
Right.
And then they'll let me know when they're done. Carpet cleaner's coming down. I need to figure out paint for stuff that either needs to be retouched or just walls that need to be repainted.
Doing anything on the outside? Like
not right now. Maybe I don't know about at before move-in. I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
The front steps need to be repainted, and the railings on either side of the front porch are wobbly, so they need to get secured. But that's I don't know if that is a before move-in problem, because I think a lot of the furniture is probably going to come in through the back door. It kind of depends, because the driveway, the garage is closest to the back door. That's where I'm going to be. Behind the house? Yeah, the garage is it's behind the house. It's further away from the whole garage is further away from the road than the house.
And there's a backyard.
Yes, there's a backyard.
For the kids to play.
Yes, for all my kids to play in. Presumably for other people's dogs to take a shit in. Because there's no fences. I
know a guy. I have a fence guy.
You have a fence guy?
Yeah.
He's who you sell all your stolen items to?
Yeah. I mean, he's both.
He's both.
Yeah, I sell him because I'm a burglar.
You can sell ill-gotten goods.
Yes.
And he'll also put up a barrier between your property and someone else's.
That's his day job.
Okay.
His night job is, passing things off in a dark parking lot.
I see. But yeah, the backyard. So the sellers left a snowblower.
Really? That's awesome.
They left me a snowblower and a TV.
Nice.
So there's no remote for the TV, but you can get generic remotes.
What kind of a TV is it?
I think it's a Philips.
Oh.
It's about the same size as the one I have.
I have a Philips guy.
Yeah. you've got guys for everything.
I do. I got, I'm connected,
But yeah, they left me a snowblower and a TV. I don't know if the snowblower works. I didn't try turning it on yesterday. But I will determine if it works at some point in the near future, because my sister has an extra snowblower and an extra lawnmower, because she and her husband each had their own when they were living separately, and then when they moved in together,
now they've doubled up.
They've doubled up. So I don't. I may not need a snowblower. But
is it gas, electric? Do you know?
I'm assuming it's gas.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure it's not electric. It did not look. It looked like a classic snowblower.
Gotcha.
It's pretty big, actually. It was sizable. But
nice.
And then my mom gave me her old robot vacuum. So I will be back in the realm of not having to vacuum again,
nice.
Which I'm very appreciative of. Like vacuuming is one of those things. It's not hard.
Right.
And like the upstairs in my house is probably, if anything, a little bit smaller than this apartment.
Really?
So like vacuuming the whole place wouldn't be difficult. But it's the first thing to go. it's the first chore that I won't do if I am tired or I'm anxious or I'm stressed out, and I'm always one of those.
Right. Well, because it's a noisy chore. It's something that that overstimulates your hearing,
and it's physical too, where it's like walking around, bending down, doing all that sort of stuff, and it doesn't feel necessary.
It doesn't feel satisfying.
You don't get the especially if your carpet is a color where dust or pet hair or your own hair doesn't really show up on it, then you're going to get done with it and feel like nothing's really changed. It's one of those things that you do to prevent a cumulative effect.
Right.
But when you do it, you hardly notice it.
I got one carpet. I got one carpet in my living room, because when you're in your living room, I think you guys had this discussion earlier, and I was like, I know that feeling exactly.
Yeah.
When you go in the living room, you don't want hard floor under your feet.
Yeah, I don't. Some people seem to, but I don't.
They're psychopaths. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I feel like if you have carpet somewhere in the living room is a good place for it. Right. Also, for me, the bedroom, because I don't want the first thing I experience in the day being putting my feet on a cold surface.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm behind on my laundry.
What? Explain. I don't know how we arrived there.
It spilled over onto the floor. That way, when I get out of bed, I just put my foot on nice warm socks, underwear, and shirts.
Okay. But yeah, I definitely prefer carpet for primary living spaces. Yeah. The other thing is I do wear slip-ons all the time, basically, when I'm walking around.
Right.
But if I'm not, and I'm just in socks, I don't want to feel like I'm a careless moment away from slipping and cracking my head on the floor.
Right.
So yeah, I would. I prefer carpet, generally speaking.
Sorry, I just had this weird story play out in my head. I answer my phone. Hello.
Zima called you?
Zima? Oh no! He hit his head. Come quickly.
See, now you're assuming that Zima would call for help instead of immediately starting to eat my face.
No, that's what she would do. She's like, cool, meat.
Yeah. Hopefully she would wait until I'm dead.
Yeah.
And not start eating me while I'm alive, Velociraptor style. But yeah, that's all going to be the story of the next month is figuring out how I want to proceed with all of this. It's
right.
The weather is not going to be cooperative for a bit. We're in
at least for the next week,
a cold and dreary and snowy start to April, unfortunately. Welcome to North Dakota.
My least favorite month.
Yep, I agree. Yeah. I'm right there with you. If my birthday wasn't in March, it might be March. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we always end up with the term for late in the year is always Indian summer.
Right.
When it's really warm in late September.
Yeah. Or October.
I don't know what you would call it when it's really, when it's the 50s and 60s in March. But we always have at least 1 week like that in March. Mm-hmm. And then April's actually, why don't we go back to February for a little bit?
Right.
Why don't we dial it back, go back to February for a little while, and then it will be nice for the last week of April.
Because when I moved here initially, it was September of 1983. Back when I was in my 60s.
Yes.
And
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm 100 years old.
I am. No, I moved here from the desert. I moved here from Las Vegas. And I'm like, oh man, it's cold here, and there were box elder bugs everywhere. I'm like, there's bugs everywhere, and it's cold. And then the following April, fucking snowmageddon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always at least some snow in April, almost always, and it just contributes to my general hatred of spring. I don't like spring at all. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it many times for all the various reasons why we hate spring.
Muddy, gross, dusty.
It is one of the things that I am excited about. The neighborhood I'm moving to is how much greener it is down there.
And there's sidewalks.
There's sidewalks, and like once the leaves start coming back, I think it's going to be gorgeous.
You're near a couple of cool restaurants.
I think it's going to be beautiful down there, which is so much different than up here, where it's all concrete and asphalt. The mall's right fucking there. It's a very busy street. There's no fucking trees. It's cold and lifeless up here.
It is. But there's trees and grass.
There's trees and there's grass and lots of shade.
You're not too far from
finally
a park.
In a place that doesn't have massive west-facing windows, so the whole side of the building I'm on is getting baked in the sunlight during what's already the hottest part of the day. The living room has like east-facing windows, so 5 days out of the week. When the time I'm in the living room watching TV, there won't be any glare.
Right. If you get up early and have coffee, you'll have a nice little bit of morning sunlight.
Yeah. It'll be... Why'd you say coffee like that?
I don't know. I sometimes dip into that.
You're suddenly from Boston.
Some coffee. We'll talk.
But yeah, there's some stuff that will need to be done with the kitchen at some point.
Sure. Well, obviously it's going to need pots and pans and.
Well, I have the stuff. I'm talking about the structure of the kitchen. It's a bit small. There's not a lot of counter space. There's no space for a table.
Yeah.
There's like a weird shelf that seems to be you're supposed to put your plates on to eat on, like stools, something like that.
So like you're at a bar or something?
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like you would have to see it to really understand like what it is. There's definitely options for stuff to do and things to change. There's no dishwasher. So I will. There is space to probably put like a small dishwasher, but I will need to cut a drawer out of the bottom cabinets and whatnot, which not the biggest deal in the world, but.
So there's not an extra dedicated eating area?
No, not really.
Gotcha.
It's not a huge deal for me because honestly, I usually eat at my couch.
Right.
I have that little tray there.
Yeah, me too.
I usually just eat at my couch. So it's not a huge deal to me, but I would like more counter space. There's not a bracket for putting up the microwave above the oven.
Oh.
There's the classic space for it above the oven, but there's the microwave that comes with the house is just sitting on the countertop right now. So,
you can change that.
Yeah, that'd be another thing to change and put up. But
sell the old microwave. They left their microwave as well?
Yeah, they left the microwave there.
Nice.
And the oven needs to be cleaned. The oven was very dirty. I don't use my oven a lot. I use the stovetop fairly often.
Right.
I don't use the oven very often. I don't use the actual interior of the oven all that much.
You don't make like frozen pizzas or anything?
That's basically the only thing I use it for.
Gotcha.
That's basically the only thing. Because all the stuff that I used to make in the oven, I now make in the air fryer.
Right. I use the shit out of my air fryer.
Me too. Anyway, let's talk about Celtic Frost.
All right.
So, To Mega Therion, whatever the fuck that means.
That means large beast.
Large beast, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Was their second studio album, came out in 1985. If you don't know about Celtic Frost, they are a Swiss extreme metal band that was formed after Hellhammer dissolved. And Hellhammer being one of the most influential first wave black metal bands alongside like Venom.
Sure. I mean, they didn't have a lot of music put out, but
yeah, they only made like one thing.
Yeah, an EP.
But it became very influential, especially for like the second wave Norwegian bands.
Right. It's one of those things where if you hadn't heard the last 40 years of music, that would be like the coolest thing you ever heard.
But if you have,
it's
I mean, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So they got started after that. And this is their second studio album. They started out as a more kind of mildly in the vein of Hellhammer, but more thrashier than that.
Right.
Sort of a more straight up and down kind of maybe call it blackened thrash metal, if you want to call it that. Now you're thinking of food.
And catfish.
And this album, the sound of this album, I think reflects that. There are a couple little inklings of some weird stuff going on. There's like French horn, And
I mean, the following album would have more of
way more weird stuff going on.
But this one has that song, what is it called? Tears of the Prophet's Dream?
Yeah.
Which is just them doing sound effects.
Yeah.
In like a room somewhere.
There's definitely a couple weird tracks on this, but not nearly to the degree of their later work that you've had me listen to that I just did not like.
I'll tell you right now, it gets weirder than what I've played for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that means I probably I feel Celtic Frost is just odd to me because normally I enjoy really weird music.
Right.
Even if it confuses the fuck out of me. Like, I don't understand anything you've had me listen to by The Residents.
Sure.
I don't understand any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike it. In fact, I enjoy it because the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm going,
what's going on?
What?
What is this?
What's happening? But it doesn't make me want to turn it off most of the time. Every once in a while, they have a track that I think is intentionally designed to make you, to challenge you to turn it off.
Right. It's an endurance test.
Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah.
Something about like what we've listened to with Celtic Frost so far, I don't know why it doesn't activate that same sense of like almost perverse glee.
Right.
Of like, oh, I'm listening to this thing that's so hard to listen to. Like,
because
it doesn't activate it.
It's too close to normal. It's like in an uncanny valley kind of situation.
I think that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
For me, for maybe why it doesn't hit the same way.
Right.
So yeah, maybe it's not weird enough.
Right.
Maybe if you had me listen to the really, really weird stuff, maybe I would enjoy that.
You know, this was going to be the last of their albums I brought.
I know. I've
now
cursed myself now. I've cursed myself now. But maybe there's something to that because I mean, like we've listened to really, really, really weird stuff.
That
we've
you
listened,
brought.
yeah, and we've listened to Captain Beefheart and shit. Like, yeah, it's I know I like really weird music. It just kind of has to be the right kind.
Yeah, and
maybe Celtic Frost's weirdest stuff is the right kind. I don't know.
I can tell you right now.
You don't
not.
think so?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a real endurance test.
Okay.
For you, the real endurance test. If I brought you like Cold Lake, like I mentioned before, that's something that Tom and I think to some degree Martin
have tried to get rid of.
Yeah, have just scoured the internet like no, don't listen to this.
we don't like this.
Right.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
Might not be a great idea. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I might have to find it and listen to it again, and then think, either maybe this would be interesting for him, or I can't do this.
Will this send him into some kind of an episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But this album definitely does have its weirder moments, but for the most part is a much more almost sort of proto death metal at times. Yeah. This album is considered very influential for death metal as a genre, alongside black metal and just extreme metal in general, as it would become throughout the remainder of the 80s after this.
Right, they were kind of the vanguard, for all of that. I mean, they stepped in all the weird, muddy places that other people go, let's not do that. But some of the other stuff they did,
they did a little bit of everything,
right,
on this that would go on to become many other things.
Right.
The album art, by the way, was done by H.R. Giger, who Tom G. Warrior famously worked for.
Right.
By mowing his lawn.
And going through his mail, paying his bills.
He was like H.R. Giger's personal assistant, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the H.R. Giger does the album art for this album. I will say one thing about everything I've seen from Celtic Frost. They have some really cool album art.
They're great album art.
Like I didn't like Into the Pandemonium. The album cover for that is amazing.
Yeah.
I really I love the art. I wish I liked the rest of the art contained within the art.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted to reiterate about this album. I like this just fine.
Right.
This at no point while listening to this did I go, oh, please just stop. I want to turn it off. I didn't have to force myself to listen to this at any point. It was not unpleasant by any means. Does this album slap?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it does.
Yes, and this has Claudia on it as well, just like Into the Pandemonium did.
Yes.
She's on both of those albums.
I could not find enough scores with numbers on them for it to be meaningful. I mean, the album has a very long-lasting legacy.
Right.
It's considered by a number of people to certainly be one of Celtic Frost's best and most influential albums. And also a number of people consider it to be one of the better metal albums, period, ever made.
And there's a song on here you've heard before.
Which one?
Circle of the Tyrants.
Circle of the Tyrants. Where have I heard that before?
You've heard a cover of it by Obituary.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The name looked familiar, but I think I kept on thinking I was confusing it with the Cattle Decapitation song "Kingdom of Tyrants." But what's your favorite song?
I think it is "Circle of the Tyrants." Is my favorite song on here. Yeah.
I put "Necromantical Screams" on there. The last main track. They have at least the version. The version I listened to, they have a studio jam attached to it. But for me, that felt like it was kind of the best encapsulation of the album in general. It kind of had a little bit of all of the different things and some of the weirdness in it too.
I like his voice in that song. He does a little something more almost death metal-y with his voice than he does in the rest of the songs.
It's a bit more guttural, a bit more growly.
Yeah.
Than the vocals on the rest of the album, which were more sort of kind of what would have been at the time on like the aggressive end of like standard thrash metal vocals.
Yes.
So on the rougher, more aggressive end of it, but definitely in the range of standard thrash metal vocals.
And he didn't do any of the vocals that he used on the song "Mesmerized." If you remember that song.
I got to be honest. I hardly remember anything about what the other albums actually sounded like, other than I didn't like them.
Because he started experimentally, because that's what he does, experiment. He decided he was going to try to use a voice that kind of sounded like he had some sort of really bad indigestion. Oh boy. That sort of thing.
Oh boy.
And I didn't hear him do that again after that. even though that song actually made it onto a couple of compilations, like metal compilations.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I recall, Tom's vocals were one of it. He's the vocalist, right? I think the weird experimental vocals were one of the main things I didn't like about their other stuff. What medal do you bestow upon this album, like Maskanada to Chewbacca?
It's a solid silver, I guess.
I agree. Yeah. I think it's definitely a solid silver. I didn't dislike this, but it's not driving me to listen to more Celtic Frost at any point here soon.
Right. Not maybe soon.
But it won't be. Here's the thing: it's not driving me to listen to it, but it might drive you to bring something else to make me listen to. Right. Once again,
we generally try to bring things that are interesting, at least, or something we like,
something that we like and or think the other person is also going to enjoy. But it is nice every once in a while to test the boundaries a little bit and figure out, because also tastes change.
They do, and I know yours have over the last 8 years.
Yeah, there's things that you brought me at the beginning that I didn't have much of a taste for, that you've kind of brought back more recently. That I have enjoyed.
Vice versa.
Next week, what I want us to listen to, something that I think you will enjoy.
Okay.
Because you've liked their other albums that I've had you listen to before in the past. There's been a glut of new albums that have come out over the last several months while we've been doing specific genres and other self-imposed limits on what we can talk about and that haven't fit in. We will get to the other ones. There's a new Converge album out. The fucking Neurosis, after a 10-year hiatus, shadow dropped an album last week.
Love me some Neurosis.
Or 2 weeks ago on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent, by the way. I listened to it. But what I want to talk about is probably the one I've been listening to the most of over the last month, which is Silence Outlives the Earth by Era.
Era, yes.
It's a fun album. It's got all of their classic sort of energy to it that I love so much about that band. They have it seems like they have so much fun making the music that they make. There's a lot of life in it that I love, and I think this album is pretty damn excellent. I've listened to it front to back a bunch of times already. So I'd like to talk about that next week.
All right.
And then we'll over however the next long period is, we'll work towards those other new albums because they're both excellent as well. That new Converge album and the new Neurosis album are both
right on, really
good. The new Neurosis album is extremely heavy in all of the senses of the word.
Really,
I mean, that's kind of what you would expect from them, but it's
also very experimental. They've been known to do that a lot.
Yes, it is that as well. But it's a musically and emotionally heavy album, to be sure.
Oh. Did something happen?
Not to the emotional heaviness is less personal and more just sort of look at the state of the world. Yeah. I mean, something did happen with the band, which was Scott Kayle got canned. They fired him back in 2019. Because they had found out that he had been basically abusing his family. And
hate to hear that.
They fired him back in 2019, but they did it quietly, basically out of respect for his family. They didn't want to make a big deal about it, and it wasn't until 2022 when Scott himself basically made a post coming clean about all of this stuff that it was revealed that he had been let go from the band years before at that point. I mean, they had been on hiatus already for like 4 or 5 years at that point. So
I'm glad they did it that way, because it would be weird if you somehow exposed the victims of abuse but hid the abuser.
Yeah, that would be odd.
That would be odd if that ever happened.
Yeah. But
like they redacted him or something.
But anyway, so that did happen with Neurosis. Scott Kayle was replaced by a guy named Aaron Turner, who's been involved in a ton of other projects, including like ISIS is the big one,
right?
Not the Islamic State of whatever in
the Egyptian
Levant.
goddess.
Named after the original ISIS.
Yeah, a friend of mine, she named her little puppy ISIS, and that was like a year before that. So like, oh shit.
But yeah, Aaron Turner, definitely a guy who has been a big deal in the post metal scene for a while. But anyway, that's all sort of about an album we're not talking about next week. So.
Right.
Anyway, until next week, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our podcast feed on whatever our podcast feed on whatever podcast service you're using to listen to us. And thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.